simply asking people, hey, we've got this problem. What do you think? I mean, that's huge.
What you're focused on and what you praise, you get more of.
The real strength of people is what's in their head, their ideas, their thoughts.
Enthusiasm is contagious. When they can feel that the leader is enthusiastic and excited and fired up themselves, they're going to naturally get fired up and excited.
Yeah. Hey there, I'm Jeff Cordes, and welcome to the C.R.A.P Leadership Podcast. My philosophy is about C.R.A.P. Caring, respect, appreciation, and praise.
And this is Randy Walensky. Been a speaker, trainer, sales professional, and coach for over 10 years, using all of Jeff's C.R.A.P. And we want to bring these principles to you in your organization. Let's jump in. All right, today we are talking about getting fired up, how to have your people get fired up, because everybody talks about engagement. Engagement, it's so important. I get it. Engagement is important, but rather than just being engaged, we want them excited to be there. We want them fired up.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic for me. I mean, I love this topic, but it also irritates me in a way because everybody talks about engagement. I mean, when I started in the business, we talk about, engagement. We were talking about two people getting married. I mean, it wasn't, with people being involved and all that sort of thing. I mean, and it's funny because I remember early in my career, mid '80s, I worked for a general manager, had just come on board, and the organization I was with, our factory was struggling mightily. And he came into my office and he said, "Well, Jeff, you're my employee relations guy. What are we going to do to turn this around? Because our turnover is going like that. And the people aren't fired up. The morale is low. What are we going to do?" And we talked about it. And the amazing thing is what we found is if we got people involved, I mean, and it was a simple process. It was so simple that you wouldn't even think about it. I mean, we got visible, we talked with people, we encouraged them to share their ideas, and again, in the '80s, this was unheard of. But the guy who I worked for was a visionary. I mean, we started talking with people. Hey, what can you do to help us turn this around? We encouraged people and did a lot of those things like that. And but we use the term fired up. When I hear the fact that talk about engagement and that only 30% of the people are engaged in the workforce, and that very few of them are even actively engaged. Well, you want all your people, in my opinion, actively engaged, which to me says fired up. You want people fired up because that's what's going to make a big difference. And one of the things that this leader did was he talked about where we were going as a facility. What was the vision? Where we were going and why they mattered and those sorts of things. So it was just huge. I mean, we just got people involved, and that to me would be the number one first takeaway we have today is get your people involved. It is not hard. All right. But you got to have the mindset that you're going to get people involved and listen to them and hear what they have to say.
No, it's so funny because, well, the one statistic I know that we've talked about because we've done it on stage before is that about a third of the people roughly, and if you know the exact number, feel free, but they're actively disengaged. They're fighting against the organization. They're not even trying to be there. They're trying to tear you down. They're trying to hurt the organization, which is a scary, scary statistic. And that's why this is important, because fired up is bigger than being engaged. Hey, think about it this way. You can be engaged in first gear, right? You're moving forward. You're there. You're going forward. You're down for the mission. You're down for the company. You're doing it, right. But you're not alive. It's not part of you. It's not getting you excited every day to come to work. We're talking about something more than that. So more than engagement, you want your people fired up. And so Jeff already alluded to that, right? get people involved, and we could talk, you can add a little bit to that as well if you want to, Jeff, but get people involved is number one. The next thing we're going to cover is about how you're killing engagement and or fired up, which is micromanaging, which we've touched on before, but we'll add some context to. And our third thing we're going to talk about is that you have to expect the best from your people. So that's your standards. That's how you have results. That's different aspects of it, but you have to expect the best and want the best for your people. Then what did you say last week? It was one of my favorite new phrases I've never used before. Charge hell with a bucket of water. Is that?
Hell, you want people who are willing to charge hell with a bucket of water for you. I
I
mean,
love that.
those
I
are
love
people that are fired up.
I love it. So those are the three things. Is there anything else you want to add to getting people involved? I think people
Yeah.
understand that. Maybe we could add some context of other ways to get people involved.
Well, the simplest way, in my opinion, if you've got leaders out there, supervisors, managers, they just simply need to ask their people, "Hey, I've got this issue. What do you think? What are your
Mm,
thoughts? How can we solve this?" I mean,
mm,
this stuff does not have to be complicated. As simple as and to me, at the grassroots level, that's where you got to really drive it. There's other ways to drive it as well, and I'll talk about those as we get into it. But the point being is simply asking people, "Hey, we've got this problem. What do you think?" I mean,
mm.
that's huge because it sends the message that you respect them and you respect their ideas. And you'd be surprised how all of a sudden you generate this groundswell of people who get involved and start to get fired up because they see that what they suggest is utilized and makes a difference.
Mm. When I would ask my team, what do you think about something? Not only did I get lots of great ideas, which is important, but I got a better adoption rate for changes or for putting in more effort or for looking into things. If I just sent something out and said, hey, we're going to change a bunch of this, hey, do a bunch of extra work for me, and it's pretty important. But if I said, hey, we've got this problem, how do you think we should solve it? Well, we got to, okay, how are we going to get to that? Well, they would come up with, well, we're going to have to document each case better. And then we're going to figure out this, and then we're going to be able to report it better. And this, oh, great. It's not me telling you what you have to do. I got you. I incepted you. I got you to figure out how you could do better because I involved you in the solution because I respected and cared enough about your opinion that I wanted you to help solve it. I genuinely wanted that. And then you go, well, this is my idea. I guess I'm going to have to do better documentation. I guess I'm going to have to ask more questions. I want to take screenshots. I want to figure out what happened here, and I'm going to report it back. Versus the person who's just like, yeah, that happens a lot. Let's just go ahead and reboot it and move on. And I'm not going to document or take any extra time. You're good. All right, let's get you off the phone. I'm happy. Those are not the people that you want. You want people fired up. Let me give you one more. There's a person that I worked with. They're my favorite person to have resolve issues because they go above and beyond every time. If there's downtime in the conversation when they were resolving issues, they were looking up solutions. They were looking up in the database. They were constantly working to try to figure it out for the client. Whereas on the opposite, somebody was doing the bare minimum. Those disengaged people, they're just like, oh yeah, did that work? Oh, I don't know. Let's try this. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to report that. All right. We'll get back to you at some point in the future. Ugh, those are not the people you want to get on the phone with you. Those are not the people you want to have working with you. You want the first person who's fired up, who wants to figure stuff out, who wants to help you because they genuinely care and are excited and believe in what the company's doing.
Well, but you'd be surprised the number of people that are not engaged. But as you start to ask and you talk about what's the vision of the organization, how do they fit in, little by little, they will start to see that they make a difference. And once that starts rolling, it has a snowball effect. And what you'll see is that somebody suggests something or has an idea and you use it. I'm going to say, well, these people are serious. They really do care what I think. And you take people who are maybe kind of somewhat involved and take them to the level where they are fired up. I mean,
Yes.
that's what you got to do because you only have this small group that are fired up. You want to have everybody in your organization fired up because when you have that, man, you have a juggernaut. Things will get done better, faster, with higher quality.
And that's the perfect opportunity. We haven't talked a lot about this, but for public recognition, and even maybe I'll say public, a little bit of like the FOMO. So you take somebody who had a great idea or did a great job, you point out what they did and how great it was, and then other people on the team go, "Well, I could do that. I like the way that. Look at how happy
Right.
that person is that they got the recognition from their leader that their contribution mattered and made a big difference. I want that. I want that recognition. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to emulate what they're doing and I'm going to do better so that I can improve myself." That's the cycle that you want people to be on, of that in a good way, that they're aspiring towards the top, that they're aspiring towards contributing in a way that everybody's excelling, and that there's a little bit of that competition in a good way, that they want to do as
Right.
good or better than their peers.
Well, this again, I'll say it. We're so worried about offending people. We are. I mean, we don't want to say, well, we recognize this person. Hey, if somebody's a Clydesdale and they get the job done, we want to recognize them. Maybe it makes the Clydesdale feel a little uncomfortable, but the reality is all of a sudden the other people say, well, wow, again, competition works. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
don't want it so fierce that people are after each other's throats, but but the point being is that a little bit of competition within the team, but also cooperation. That's what you're looking for, is that optimal mix.
Yeah. What you're focused on and what you praise, you get more of. So when you see that example and people get praised for putting it in the effort, the way that you've just shown, they're going to want to do that. It's just a natural, innate thing. And it's very genuine. Nobody wants to see
Right.
somebody praised that didn't deserve it, or that it's like a gimme, or it's like a tactic. They want to see genuine praise given to people who deserve it, who went above and beyond or did something great. And it does get other people fired up to do that. And then that can become part of your culture. And when your culture is a fired up, excited culture and everybody's trying to do good, that's how the machine starts pumping. And it can start slow, especially if you're joining a team or an organization where that's not been normal. It might take a little bit of repetition, but eventually we can get to that point where everybody's contributing and it's very positive.
Right. No, absolutely. I think the other thing I think about is this is really a respect issue.
Mm.
Um, if you ask people to get involved, it sends the message that what they do and what their ideas are, that they matter. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then the key is, as I said a little bit earlier, you want to act on those ideas. And all of a sudden, things starts to roll. And the one thing you do not want to do is micromanage people. I mean, you want to, yeah. Point number two, takeaway number two: do not micromanage people. I mean, if you want to destroy involvement, micromanage people, because then people will just get their head down, do their job, say nothing, because they don't want to either be beaten up on or whatever the case is. But you do not want to micromanage people, because one is a sign of disrespect, but it will also kill uh, engagement. It will kill engagement, and it will. And again, people won't get off the bench and into the game because they're afraid, because they're being micromanaged. So yeah, to your point, Randy, takeaway number two is don't micromanage people if you want to have fired up employees.
Puts a bucket of water on your fire. It douses the
Right.
fire, because you'll get people that are just acting like robots. You micromanage people enough and it'll just become, just tell me what you want done, so you leave me alone, I'll do it, and I'll do nothing else. As you've said before, they keep
Right.
their head down. They'll do the minimum, bare minimum. Well, anybody doing the bare minimum long enough, they're not going to be engaged. They're not going to be fired up. They're going to be they're going to be depressed. They're going to be looking for a new place. You do that long enough and you cut that engagement. So not only will they not be contributing positively, they'll probably be actively disengaged against you. They'll be working against you and the organization in any way
Right.
that they can do possible, because they'll be frustrated.
Yeah, the last thing you want is a bunch of drones in your organization. And we've seen this, I mean, talk about it. I mean, this has been the whole issue when we talk about Doge, right? I mean, that a lot of, a lot of federal employees are drones. I don't necessarily believe that's the case, but if you put a bunch of good people in with a bunch of drones, they just get sucked down. You do not want to have an organization of drones, because when you do that, all you have is a bunch of people showing up every day, clocking in 9 to 5,
Hmm.
doing what they have to do, and going home. And the real strength of people is what's in their head, their ideas, their thoughts. That's really how you move and charge ahead, because we're in a knowledge based uh, society. I mean, and I go back even, I'll go back, again, I sound like a dinosaur, but I go back to the 90s. I was doing this stuff in the 90s. Nobody was talking about engagement. We used to have it at the time when the Japanese had eaten our lunch in the 70s and early 80s. And so when we got into the 90s, we were smart enough in manufacturing. We said, you know what? Uh, we need to learn from them. You know, we look at the continuous improvement. And we, back in those days, we called them quality circles. And we
Hmm.
got people involved with how do you get better quality, how do you drive productivity. And we set up formal mechanisms so people could get involved. And beyond just saying, hey, what do you think? What are your ideas? We set up formal systems to get people involved. And let me tell you something. Once you got a few people involved, we had people clamoring to get into these formal mechanisms and work on these project teams and these task forces and stuff. I mean, it was incredibly, it was just amazing. But yeah, I mean, and as part of that, because we realized that we couldn't promote everybody, right? You can't promote everybody, okay?
Hmm.
But we wanted people to feel fulfilled. So we gave them an opportunity to be their best and to bring out their ideas. And we encouraged them to be their best. And we also expected them to be their best as well. And
Hmm.
it became this positive, vicious cycle. People were
Hmm.
involved. They wanted to be their best. They were fulfilled. And our productivity and our quality was amazing.
Well, that's what you want, right? Well, I was going to
Right?
come. You mentioned about the Doge. You mentioned about government workers. I think
Right?
in general, you put that in, then they start getting their mind. But just think of 10 years ago, if you picture yourself then 5 years ago, when you pictured in a government employee, typical stereotypical would not be fired up. We'll say
Right?
hopefully engaged, but usually it's like the picture of the apathetic person at the DMV or the drudgery of
Right?
they hate dealing with the populace. They're just like barely doing their job, or they love all the bureaucratic tape, and they love telling people no and go back and wait. And that's your vision typically of the government. I don't care what side you vote on. Most people, when they picture the
Right?
government, they picture it slow. They picture apathetic people. They picture people that aren't trying very hard, right? However, you and I have worked with a lot of local governments where, for
Right?
sure, and especially the leaders that have brought us in, they're very passionate about what they do. They believe in their community. They believe in their government services of what they're doing, and they
Right?
want their people to be better. So you can have that, and there's plenty of people making those stereotypes true. I'm absolutely sure of it. I've called into some things for the government, but there's people that are fired up in that area as well. So what's the difference? What have you seen with the people that we've went to? What do you think is different in those governments? And a lot of them are the local government, so maybe it's a little different than what we think of. But why do you think they're more fired up, or they want their people to be better? They're trying to improve it. They're educating. They're
Right.
promoting. What do you think it is?
It's about the leaders. I mean, I do, for those of you, I don't know if I've ever talked about it in any of my other podcasts, I do a lot of work with county government. And I have worked with some incredible people in county government. And it's really driven by the leaders. The executive, the chief executive, the administrative uh, head of administration, whatever it is, had this attitude that people matter and that people have something to offer. And if you have that attitude, I mean, these counties I've worked with, man, they train their people, they help them grow, uh, they solicit ideas from them. They do all the things we talk about as far as doing things right. So, I mean, it really is driven by the leaders. And I see this as it's interesting because I normally go to two post offices. And at one post office, the people at the customer service counter are incredible. Uh, they are positive, they're helpful, whatever. I go to the other one, it's like the dog died. Uh, yeah, that's how
Every
they
day,
act.
every
And,
day.
and the only thing I can think of, again, same, it's postal system, right? It's got to be the leaders.
Mm,
So if you're a leader out there, you set the tone, right? And if you encourage asking and you don't micromanage and you expect the best from your people, but want the best from your people, you are going to have a fire up organization, in my opinion. So I guess that would be the third takeaway is, we talked a little bit about, I'll go back to it, encourage growth and expect the best from your people. If you set low standards, that's exactly what you're going to get. Is low performance. If you expect the best, you're going to get the best. But you got to help those people grow, get excited, get fired up.
I'll tell you later which location, but I was so compelled that I had to write a review for this post office, and I dubbed the person who worked there Mrs. No. And these two post offices were probably 15 minutes apart. And I had been to the one, then I happened to be driving past this one. No, you can't do that. I'm like, really? Why? And barely give me a reason. Okay. I went to the other one, no problem. I'm like,
Yep.
all right, one time isolated. I go to that post office again. Oh no, it's the same woman. Oh gosh, this and that. Nope, you can't do it. And here's why. I'm like, oh, son of a. And for like slightly different, but whatever. I go to the other one. They're like, that's not an issue at all. So 100%. Some people love that. Maybe it was because she just didn't want to work. Maybe she loved the power of it. I'm sure it had something to do with the culture or the leadership over there that was acceptable. But I'm like, it can't be just me. It can't be me getting all these no's, and then I go 15 minutes to a different county, and it's like that's not a problem at all. I don't know why they would even say that. So yes, we'll have to cross notes, but we don't have to expose it here. Encouraging growth, expecting the best of people. Enthusiasm is contagious.
Yep.
When you're excited for what you're doing, when you're excited to see your people grow and you want the best from them, nothing great was ever done without enthusiasm. It's important for you to have, and you have to
Right.
really genuinely care about your people. Hey, that's the C, right? The C is for caring. When you care about your people, you want to see them succeed, and that they can feel that. And when they can feel that you care about them, they're going to
Right.
care about their job. When they can feel that the leader is enthusiastic and excited and fired up themselves, they're going to naturally get fired up
They're
and
going to
excited,
fire it up. Yeah.
or they're going to
Yeah.
leave. That's the other thing that's good about it. Like if your culture is a genuine excitement for your job, people who don't want to be excited or don't like it that much are going to feel uncomfortable, and they may want to leave. And that's okay. They're going to find a
Their
place that they
peers,
fit.
their peers will put pressure on them. Peers will
There's
put
going to be
pressure on them,
there's going to
and
be a
they will exit
community
the
aspect.
organization. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Well, folks,
Yes.
we're getting near the end. If
Yes.
you like what you're hearing, and you like us, subscribe, tell us your ideas, because we're always looking for ideas to talk about that matter to you, because that's really what's important. Well, we're talking about getting our listenership fired up. Hey,
That's right. Get fired up.
what are your thoughts? I mean, we love hearing from people, and so get those ideas out there. Our three big takeaways for today are: get people involved, never, ever, ever micromanage, and number three, expect the best from your people, but also encourage your people to help them become the best.
I think that's it. I hope people are leaving fired up. Hey, send this to a buddy who needs to get fired up about what they're doing, or another leader who's
Yep.
getting people fired up. Like Jeff said, we want to hear from you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I'm Jeff Cordes.
I'm Randy Walensky.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.